I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to our Mi Casa, Tu Casa event, our raffle, our deck of cards, Rolex drawing, our silent auction. We hope it's our first time doing something like this because of the situation in 2020, and hopefully it's a great success. And with your help, we'll get where we need to be. Well, I've been on many boards before, and the ones that have held me and made me stay are boards or organizations that help people, help children mostly. I coach in the summers. I just like to help kids, and these disadvantaged kids they seem to be very much in need of the services that CASA offers. As the new board president of CASA, I don't need to make any dramatic changes because it's been led very well by previous board presidents, and John Escamilla and Marisa Sandoval, and I just want to continue and build on that success that they have brought to CASA. And it's a tough row to hoe there to meet the expectations that they've met, and I hope I can do as good a job as they have done.
Hello, my name is Carlos Villan Jr., and I'm the Associate Judge for the Child Protection Court of the Rio Grande Valley West. I hear Child Protective Services cases in Hidalgo and Starr County, and have been doing that since June 4th of 2012. My work with children, families and children, began almost immediately. My first job was at the District Attorney's Office, and part of my duties were to represent Child Protective Services in court. And so that started way back in 1998. And eventually worked my way over as in-house counsel or regional counsel for the department for about 2 years. And so during that time, that's when this court was established in about 1999, I believe. And so part of my duties was to work with the court and to work with the attorneys. And so I love the work that was going on in the court. I love the work that the department was doing with our families. And so that's over 20 years ago when I was a brand new attorney. Of course, along the way, as most professionals do, you try and find your niche. And so I did different things and eventually returned to practicing with the state in 2010. And then eventually when the opportunity arose and Judge Flores, Ricardo Flores, who was here before me, retired in 2012, I thought it was a great opportunity to go back to child welfare and work with families. One of the biggest challenges that we have here in the Valley is resources. And it's a challenge not only in child welfare, but in many areas. With regard, and specifically with regard to child welfare, we lack psychiatrists. We only have a handful of psychiatrists here. We don't have a residential treatment center for our children who need extensive behavior intervention. We don't have inpatient substance use facilities for our parents. They have to travel 3 hours away to Corpus Christi or Laredo in order to get that treatment. And those are just a couple of examples of the resources that we lack here in the Valley. The other hurdle that we have here is because of our proximity to the border, things are different here. We have a number of families that don't have status in this country. We have a number of children that don't have status in this country. And so those create barriers with regard to reaching out to other parts of the state and sending them to facilities and to places that can provide services for them if they can't go beyond a checkpoint. And so we've encountered those issues as well here in the Valley. And I guess lastly, what I've encountered and what has gotten better over the years is that there really wasn't any collaboration. We had a number of programs and nonprofit organizations, CASA, and we had the Child Advocacy Center, and we had the university down the road, but that do amazing work with the folks that they work with. But we weren't exactly in tune with one another. We were working in silos. And so one of the things that I set out to do from the very beginning was to try and get some collaboration going. And so rather than have organizations compete against one another, we have organizations who are willing to work with one another and try and find solutions for these families with whatever areas of expertise they work in. And so bringing CASA together, bringing the university together, bringing CPS together, all in the same room, and then everybody else that provides the underlying services to our families, we get a better idea of what's available out there, because we know there's a limitation of resources, but it's even worse when you don't know what's out there. The lowest moment for me as a judge is the first time that I ever heard that we had a child pass away in care. That was heartbreaking. It was on my mind for a long time. It was a medically needy child, but nonetheless, a child that passed away that we were trying to assist a family. It was unfortunate, and that's about as low as it can get for me, is when a child gets hurt while in care or passes away in care. There's no worse feeling than that. This is one of them, of course. This is one of those greatest achievements, is to be, and of course to work very closely with CASA, but to be recognized for the work that not only that I'm doing, but that we've been able to accomplish together. Texas CASA was also an amazing honor, there's been so many highlights along the way that I would have never expected. Being on the Children's Commission and being able to work on a statewide basis, being able to work with Texas CASA and the Children's Commission, being able to work with you guys every day. There are so many things, and it's difficult for me to kind of wrap my head around the things that we've been able to accomplish, because I know that there is a lot, but I just keep looking forward to the next thing. That's the way I operate. But definitely being recognized today, and the opportunity to share the fact that what I do and what I'm being recognized for is a reflection on all the great work that's being done by all of our partners, because it can't be just one person alone. It has to be a group effort. It has to be a team effort. And so that involves CASA of Hidalgo County, that involves the department, that involves the university, it involves our foster parents, and everybody along the line that services these families.
2.5 years ago, we had no idea what CASA was. We had never heard of it or anything, but right around the Christmas time, they were running an ad on television when a young boy came up to someone and said, "Would you be an advocate for me to see what we could get?" And that ad made us inquire. And so it was right after the New Year that we called and got into a class right away.
I saw the commercial first, and I said, I think this is something we should do, but I'm not going to do it without you. And so we took our little time to think about it and pray about it, and thought it might be something that we should try to do.
I think it's a wonderful thing to do it as a couple. One thing is, you got somebody to bounce the challenges off of. And the other is, especially for us being older, with the two boys that we look after, we're like grandparents to them. I think that the two boys that we've been connected with all the way from the beginning, they're part of family to us. And I think that's really what each CASA wants. And even though they're challenging, we haven't given up on them. Even though they're challenging. And one will be coming up for adoption. And so we're hoping that goes through.
I think for both of us, what has opened our eyes is we had no idea there was such a need. And first of all, if families could stay together and this wouldn't happen at all, would be the absolute most perfect thing that could happen. But that's not the way life is. And I realize there are not enough foster parents and probably not enough adoptive parents as well. And I know that we have spoken to our family that if we were younger now, if we knew when we were younger what we know now, we would have found room.
Yeah. And
And I just wish we had. We cry together.
We watched a movie last week, I think it was, or the week before, Instant Family. And if someone wants to know what it is to be a foster parent heading towards adoption, Instant Family is a movie they should watch. Because we felt that it hit it to the bone. And in fact, as we contacted Bianca and said, can we get time, education time for this? So it was, it really, your heart just goes out to the boys, that we have, and it would to others too. And so it's really, I think it's a very worthwhile thing.
And it's not easy. No. I mean, it's very, it's not just the time consuming, it's the frustration when you're expecting something to go good and then it doesn't go good. And because kids are kids and they haven't come from a background that's a healthy family life, so they have no idea what that means. And so even if they were put in one, they wouldn't know how to respond right away, I don't believe. But, it's sort of, you get frustrated, but you can't quit. You just can't quit because they're too valuable. And sometimes you just want to throw your hands up and say, like, what's next? But you just can't. You just can't. There's paperwork involved. I wouldn't want to let anyone think that there isn't responsibilities that are expected of you. You have to document everything that you do and say and post it in a private place. And it's a lot of work. But fortunately, we work as a team. And so what I forget, he remembers, and vice versa. But it's been and has been, and I believe will be, an extraordinary adventure for us, and especially at this time of our lives.
Well, I think the cooperation with the CASA office has been tremendous. Quite often, well, anytime we have anything to say, it's almost like we're the only ones. But we know we're not. But only it's like when I say that we're the only ones, they treat us as if, their full attention has been to us at the office.
Just the aspect of having your involvement within the court. I mean, who would think that you know this judge, yes, and just the experience of it, and it's heartwarming to see the connection that the judge has with CASA, and the care that he has for the children, and the way that things take place. And for CASA, I mean, they hold your hands basically through everything. You don't walk it alone. You just don't.